Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudirayat. Ashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 7 Chapter 7 Verse 46 Nirupyatam iha swartaha kiyandeha bhrutosuraha निषेकादिष्वस्थासु क्लिश्यमानस्य कर्मभिः. My dear friends, O sons of the Asuras, the living entity receives different types of bodies according to his previous fruitive activities. Thus, he is seen to suffer with reference to his particular body in all conditions of life, beginning with his infusion into the womb. Please tell me, therefore, after full consideration, what is the living entity's actual interest in fruitive activities which result in hardship and misery? So Prahlad Maharaj is surprising that after full consideration, you answer this question. What is the question? Because the body is the source of all misery. Body is the source of all misery. Now, why do people actually engage in fruitive activities, which are for bodily pleasure, though these activities actually result in misery? So we are doing something for happiness, but we end up suffering. Why would somebody want to do something like that? So, which is also, in other words, we can think of this as prayas and shreyas, meaning we do something short term, which gives us immediate happiness, but which might actually result in future suffering. So, why would somebody want to act like this? To act in this way is the question Prahlad Maharaj is asking. The living entity receives a particular type of body according to his karma. The material pleasure derived in the material world from one's particular body is based on sexual pleasure. Yan maitunadi grahamedi sukham hitucham. Low class. The entire world is working so hard only for sexual pleasure. To enjoy sexual pleasure and maintain the status quo of material life, one must work very hard. And because of such activities, one prepares himself another material body. This is the whole family life business. Work very hard and enjoy, then prepare, get ready to receive one more material body. Prahlada Maharaja places this matter to his friends for their consideration. Asuras generally cannot understand that the objects of sexual pleasure, the so-called pleasure of materialistic life, depend on extremely hard labor. Finally, the whole world is just running on this sentiment. Elsewhere also, Prabhupada writes saying that the only impetus for economic development is family life. If there's no family life, then there's no impetus for economic development. Meaning, if somebody is going to remain by themselves, they're not going to worry too much about. They'll just be okay, whatever is there, they'll somehow manage. But then, once you're married, okay, then there are expectations, then there's society, then there is responsibilities, then one has to engage in economic development. So, and what will all this result in? If suppose it's not as per Shastra, then it results in misery, suffering. So Prahlad Maharaj is asking, why all this? Doesn't it sound foolish? Karmanyarabhate dehi dehenatmanuvartina karma vistanute deham ubhayam avivekataha. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life. meant the results of his actions in this life, but this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his avivekatana, foolishness. The living entity's evolution through different types of bodies is conducted automatically by the laws of nature. In other words, laws of nature, by the laws of nature, living entity evolves from lower grades of life to human form. Because of his developed consciousness, however, the human being must understand the constitutional position of the living entity and understand why he must accept a material body. Why he must accept? Why should I accept? That we should understand. This chance is given to him by nature, but if he nonetheless acts like an animal, what is the benefit of his human life? In this life, one must select the goal of life and act accordingly. Having received instructions from the spiritual master and Shastra, one must be sufficiently intelligent to follow them. Receive instructions from Guru and Shastra and be intelligent to follow them. In the human form of life, one should not remain foolish and ignorant, but must inquire about his constitutional position. Athato Brahma Jignasa. The human psychology gives rise to many questions, which various philosophers have considered and answered with various types of philosophy, based upon mental concoction. This is not the way of liberation. Tadvignanartham Sagurum Meva Abhigachet. To solve the real problems of life, one must accept a spiritual master. Tasmat Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. If one is actually serious in inquiring about the solution to material existence, one must approach a bona fide guru. And approaching a bona fide guru is not a matter of fashion. Prabhupada says this also. Accepting a bona fide guru means surrender, giving up our free will. Pariprashnena sevaya. Upadekshanti te gnanam. Gnaninas tattvadarshinaha. They've seen the truth. So they will tell you, give you instructions which are going to enable you to achieve perfection. One must approach a bona fide spiritual master by pranipatena, surrendering and rendering service. Sevaya. An intelligent person must inquire, pariprashnena. A bona fide spiritual master can answer all such questions because he's seen the real truth. This is Vijnana. Even in ordinary activities, we first consider gain and loss and then we act. Similarly, an intelligent person must consider the entire process of material existence and then act intelligently, following the directions of the bona fide spiritual master. Of course, after all consideration, one has to come and surrender to a guru. After all consideration, meaning we thought about everything else and we figured saying that there's no other way but to surrender to guru and follow his instructions. Then one must take initiation. Meaning, what after consideration, what is the conclusion? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. And only the path of devotional service is the path of perfection. There's nothing else. But because I am so conditioned, I might not be, my conditioned state might not allow me to follow the path of devotion. So I'll accept the Guru and hold on to his lotus feet, so that by doing so I can remain fixed on this path and achieve perfection. This is due consideration. And this is what one has to think before accepting a Guru. So hearing and following the instructions of Guru are the only basis for perfection. We have to understand this. And we know about Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, etc. Tasmadarthascha kamascha dharmascha yad apashayaha bhajatani hayatmanam aniham harimishwaram. The four principles of advancement in spiritual life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all depend on the disposition of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, my dear friends, follow in the footsteps of devotees. Without desire, fully depend upon the disposition of the Supreme Lord. Worship Him, the Super Soul, in devotional service. These are words of intelligence. Everyone should know that in every stage of life, we are dependent upon the Supreme Lord. Therefore, dharma which we accept should be that which is recommended by Prahlad Maharaj, Bhagavata Dharma. This is the instruction of Krishna. Sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. To take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna means to act according to the rules and regulations of Bhagavata Dharma, devotional service. To take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna means to follow rules and regulations of devotional service. As far as economic development is concerned, we should discharge our occupational duties but fully depend on the lotus feet of the Lord for the results. Karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You're not entitled to the fruits because those fruits will come based on your past karma, not based on your current action. According to one's position, one should perform his duties, but for the results, one should fully depend upon Krishna. Narottam Das Thakur sings that our only desire should be to perform the duties of Krishna consciousness. We should not be misled by the karma mimamsa philosophy, which concludes that if we work seriously, results will come automatically. This is what people think. If you work seriously, results will come automatically. But this is karma mimamsa, this is not a fact. The ultimate result depends upon the will of the Supreme Lord, which depends on our karma phala, because that is what that is a system he has put in place. And of course, when he is pleased, he overrides the karma phala. In devotional service, therefore, the devotee completely depends on the Lord and honestly performs his occupational duties. Occupational duties. The word occupational duties means immediately Varnashrama should come to our mind. Therefore, Prahlada Maharaja advised his friends to depend completely on Krishna and worship him in devotional service. This is the key thing. Sarveshamapi bhutanam harirratmeshwara priyah bhutermahadbhi swakritaihi kritanam jiva sangnitah. Supreme Person of Godhead, Hari is the soul and the super soul of all living entities. Every living entity is a manifestation of his energy in terms of the living soul and the material body. Both living soul, material body are all coming from him only. Therefore, the Lord is the most dear and is the supreme controller. Supreme Lord is manifested by his different energies, material energy, spiritual energy, marginal energy. He is the original soul of source of all living entities in the material world and is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. Although the living entity is the cause of his various types of bodies, the body is given by the material nature according to the order of the Lord. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddesha arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantarudani maya. This machine is made of material energy. The body is just like a machine, a car in which the living entity is given a chance to sit and move according to his desire. It all depends on our desire. Yesterday we talked about eternal bliss. And the desire, the intense desire, the greed to achieve that is what is going to move us towards Krishna. And if you don't have that, then we're going to have material desires and we will just rot here. The Lord is the original cause of the material body and the soul, which is expanded by his marginal energy. The Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of all living entities. Prahlada therefore advised his class friends to take shelter of the Supreme Lord again. Devo suro manusyo va yaksho gandharva eva va bhajan mukunda charanam swastiman syad yatha vayam. Demigod, demon, human being, yaksha, gandharva, or anyone within this universe, if he renders service to the lotus feet of Mukunda, Mukunda means one who can give liberation. He is actually situated in the most auspicious condition of life, exactly like us, the Mahajanas. So whoever it is, what they have to do? They have to render service to Krishna. By his living example, Prahlada requested his friends to engage in devotional service, whether in demigod society, asura, human society, Gandharva society. Every living being should take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda and then thus become perfect in good fortune. Nalam dvijatvam devatvam rishitvam vasuratmajah प्रीणनाय मुकुन्दस्य न वृत्तं न बहुघ्नता न दानं न तपोत्नेज्य न शौचं न व्रतानि च प्रिययते मलया भक्त्या हरिरन्यद्विडम्बनम्. My dear friends, you cannot please the Supreme Lord by becoming perfect brahmanas, demigods, or great saints, or becoming perfectly good in etiquette or vast learning. None of these qualifications can awaken the pleasure of the Lord. Nor by charity, austerity, sacrifice, cleanliness, or vows can one satisfy the Lord. The Lord is pleased only if he has unflinching, unalloyed devotion to him. Without sincere devotional service, everything is simply a show. So it should be unflinching, meaning firmly fixed, no disturbance, no flickering. Unflinching, unalloyed means pure, without any mixed motives, and it should be sincere. Prahlada concludes that one can become perfect by serving the Supreme Lord sincerely. Material elevation to life as a Brahmana, demigod, rishi, and so on are not causes for developing love of Godhead. But if one essentially engages in service of the Lord, his Krishna consciousness is complete. And Krishna says, Api chetsu duracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Develop unalloyed love for Krishna is the perfection of life. Other process may be helpful, but if one does not develop his love for Krishna, these other processes are simply a waste of time. Dharmasvanushthita pumsan vishvaksena katasuyaha notpade dedirathim samayevahi hi kevalam. So waste of time if you do whatever occupation, but it does not provoke attraction for the message of the Lord. The test of perfection is one's unalloyed devotion. This is test of perfection, unalloyed, pure, without any intent. This is the test of perfection. And we will be given so many tests to check. And we have to, in all circumstances, in all situations, remain fixed in unalloyed devotion. Not get disturbed. Not lose faith in Krishna. Have faith. And the tests can, sometimes, these tests are very important. Maybe, just talk about it briefly. Now, when there is a test which just very short test, like in schools, they have like unit test. The unit test, maybe just one chapter, very simple. You finish it off in like, in half an hour or something. You finish it off and go. And you don't feel the pressure of the test, right? And you answered everything properly and, it's fine. But then the tests start getting little bit more and more difficult, right? So from unit test, then there is midterm, which will be little more difficult. Then there will be a final term exam. Then we finish that also. And then again, we go to the next standard. Then finally, we come to 10th or whatever. And then we have one major exam. So the exams get more and more difficult. Now, whom does it not get more difficult? Who is well prepared? Who knows the syllabus clearly? And who's regularly practicing, studying? For him, the exams won't become difficult, even though actually the exams are difficult. Hmm. So the point is that we have to be fixed in this um, in our practice of devotional service, and only then we can actually pass the tests and understand that the tests are going to get little more and more difficult as we make progress, because the ultimate test is yet to come for all of us. Now that we are in this body, which means that ultimate test has not come. Before that, hopefully we will achieve. We will finish the syllabus. Mm. Hopefully we can still finish the syllabus. Okay, so we have to just remain determined through all tests. Sometimes the tests last for a long time, many years sometimes. Few minutes tests easy to pass. Few days tests easy to pass. Few months maybe little difficult but still manageable. Few years maybe still okay. Many years is very, very difficult. Consistently, our conditioned state will pull us down, our devotion has to pull us up. Conditioned state pull us down, devotion has to pull us up. And that cannot happen without the association of devotees. Mm. So please make sure that you remain in association with devotees. That is why I keep telling devotees whenever they have some problem, etc., tell them please inform. May or may not be able to solve the problem, material problem as is, but it's important because the seriousness of the problem can go on increasing and may be difficult for the devotee to manage by himself or herself. Mm. If somebody is doing regular Shravanam, fixed sadhana, it'll be much easier for them. Not that it'll be super easy, but it'll be much easier. But still, we should just remember saying that it's just a test. Krishna is in control because I'm surrendered. Krishna is in control. So he will ultimately take care of it. It's all in his hands. But he's just putting me through tests to see how fixed I am, how dependent I am, how much faith I have in him, how surrendered I am. And we should try to pass the test. Like I said, the simple formula to pass the test is solid chanting and reading / Shravanam. It will enable us, it will help us to pass the test. And that every test is about is pure devotion, test on pure devotion. Are you going to ask anything? Are you going to ask anything else from me? Are you going to ask only pure devotion? You want only my pleasure or you want something else because now we are in trouble? That's the whole point. ततो हरौ भगवती भक्तिं कुरुत दानवः आत्मौपापम्येन सर्वत्र सर्वभूतात्मनीश्वरे. My dear friends, in the same favorable way that one sees himself and takes care of himself, take to devotional service to satisfy the Lord who is present everywhere as a super soul. Beautiful statements Prahlad makes. Everybody favorably takes care of themselves. So Prahlad is saying, with the same mood, do devotional service. The same amount of interest, the same amount of energy that you put to take care of yourself. Yourself means what? Body. You take to devotional service. You put the same energy, put the same interest in devotional service. One activity is to satisfy yourself. Now this activity is to satisfy the Supreme Lord. So have the same enthusiasm, determination, utsaha, nishchaya, dhairya. The word atmaupamyena refers to thinking others to be like oneself. One can very intelligently conclude that without devotional service, one cannot be happy. Therefore, the duty of all devotees is to preach Krishna consciousness everywhere, all over the world, because all living entities without Krishna consciousness are suffering. So it is the duty of devotees to preach. It's not an option. Duty. To preach Krishna consciousness is the best welfare activity. Indeed, it is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as paropakara, social welfare work. And it has been especially entrusted to those who have taken birth in India as human beings. Bharata Bhumita Hala, Manusha Janmayar, Janma Sarthak Khari Kara Para Upakar. Entire world is suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised all human beings born in India to make their lives perfect by Krishna consciousness and then preach Krishna consciousness all over the world so that others may become happy. So that is why we are hooked onto this happiness formula, path to happiness. Trying to tell everybody saying that this is going to give you happiness. It's not for anything else. It's just to give you happiness. And we can make our lives perfect, just not by practicing Krishna consciousness, but also by preaching. and preach in your circles. Simple. But this is very, very important. Take the same amount of interest that you take for yourself, to take care of yourself. You have the same interest towards devotional service. Very, very powerful. Very, very nice statement. दैतेयायक्षरक्षांसि स्त्रियशूद्रव्रजौकसः खगा मृगः पापजीवाः सन्ति ह्यच्युतातां गताः. My friends, everyone, including you, yakshas, rakshasas, the intelligent women, shudras, covered men, birds, lower animals, sinful living entities, can revive his original eternal spiritual life and exist forever simply by accepting bhakti yoga. Everybody, basically. Devotees are referred to as Achyuta Gotra. This is one important thing. One who has completely surrendered himself, doesn't done Sarvadharman Parityajya. Normally, we all know that all of us have Gotra. And sometimes you go to some, temples, normally Vishnu temples, etc. And then you're doing some archana and they ask, what is your Gotra? And first thing is, we should do that archana not for ourselves, but for our spiritual master. And their Gotra is Achyuta Gotra. We can also think about our Gotra as Achyuta Gotra if we have completely surrendered to Krishna. And because our name is changed. When our name is changed, our Gotra also changes. It should change, meaning that much faith we should have. The Lord is called Achyuta. The Lord is infallible because he is the supreme person. Similarly, the jivas can also become infallible. Although Prahlad's mother was in the conditional state and was the wife of a demon, even yakshas, rakshasas, women, shudras, and even birds and other lower living entities can be elevated to Achyuta Gotra. Means what? The family of the Supreme Lord. That is the highest perfection. As Krishna never falls, when we revive our spiritual consciousness, we never fall again into material existence. But we have to revive our spiritual consciousness and remain fixed there. This is called Nishta, fixed. Till then we are in Anartha Nivritti, then we go up to spiritual consciousness, come down to material consciousness. This keeps happening. One should understand the position of Supreme Achyuta, who says, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. One should understand Achyuta, the Supreme Infallible, and how we are related with him, and one should take to the service of the Lord. This is the perfection of life. Madhvacharya says, Achyutatam Chuti Varjanam. The word Achyutatam refers to one who never falls to this material world, but always remains in Vaikuntha, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Chuti Varjanam. Varjanam means it's avoided. It doesn't fall. So, once Tyaktvadayam Punarjanma Naiti Mameti. Once we go to Krishna Loka, then we will not come back. Who come back mostly are people who go to Mukti, who get Mukti. They have chances of falling back. That we already discussed. Right? Anadrita Yushmadangriyam. Anadrita, because they don't have respect for the lotus feet of the Lord. Respect for the lotus feet of the Lord means devotional service. So one who engages in devotional service will not fall down. Unless the Lord wants him to come down. Etavanev lokesmin pumsasvartha parasmrutah ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam ekanta bhaktir govinde. It's material world to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere in the only goal of life. Now there are two types of seeing him everywhere. One is seeing his energy, which is at a lower stage, and then actually literally seeing him. This much alone is the ultimate goal of human life as explained by all revealed scriptures. Sarvatra tad ikshanam. Sarvatra means everywhere. Ikshanam means seeing. One is seeing everything with reference to Govinda's activities, but actually also seeing him. Stavara Jangama deke na deke thara murti sarvatra hoy nija ishtadeva spurti. Ishtadeva. Whether you are seeing any Stavara Jangama, mobile or immobile, he doesn't see those Stavara Jangama forms. Rather, everywhere he sees manifest his Ishtadeva. Even in this material world, a devotee does not see materially manifested things. Instead, he sees Govinda in everything. When he sees a tree, a human, a devotee, he sees them in relation to Govinda. The test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in this universe, even in every atomic particle. This is the perfect vision of a devotee. It is therefore said, Narayanamayam Dhiraha. Narayanamayam, Krishnamayam. Maya means full. Everything is full of Krishna. Everything is an expansion of Narayana's energy, just as those who are greedy see everything as a source of money making, and those who are lusty see everything as being conducive to sex. The most perfect devotee, Prahlada, saw Narayana even within a stone column. Actually, this is so beautiful analogy. Somebody who's greedy, he sees everything as a source of money making. Somebody who's lusty, he sees everything as conducive to sex. So, we should also see everything as a source of achieving Krishna, as a means of achieving Krishna, as being conducive to achieve Krishna, and use it in that way. One actually envisions Narayana everywhere, makes no distinction between poor and rich. To single out Daridra Narayana and reject the Dhani Narayana is not the vision of a devotee. Rather, that is the imperfect vision of materialistic persons. Anyway. So this is also very nice. Our absorption should be to achieve Krishna. Greedy person, meaning he's all the time he's thinking about making money. A lusty person is always thinking about enjoying his senses. Similarly, devotee should be always thinking about achieving Krishna and serving Krishna. Always. This absorption we can understand. By this absorption we can understand how much absorption we require to go back. Whatever we see should be in connection with Krishna's pleasure. Then we are getting ready to go back. Very beautiful. Two beautiful analogies. One is this, and take interest in devotional service like you take interest in taking care of yourself favorably. Two very beautiful sutras from today's discussion. These are the things, these are bringing it down to our level of understanding, our level of consciousness. That's what Prabhupada does. Then we should stick to these sutras, principles, formulae. And then that will enable success, give us success. Okay, so I think I'll stop here. Anyway, this chapter is over, so we'll start the next chapter. Tomorrow, mostly we won't have session. We'll start from Monday. So Lord Narasimha slays the king of demons, and then beautiful prayers will come for Lord Maharaj. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any questions, comments? All okay?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So I'm a bit fickle-minded, but today's statements like we have to take care of, I mean, we have to do devotion
Hmm.
the way how we take care of
Hmm.
ourselves. So
Hmm.
this I feel that this here only the actual happiness lies when
Hmm.
those statements. But
Hmm.
sometimes I realize this, and sometimes due to material association in the office, family, and all,
Yeah,
again
yeah,
I just, I mean,
correct.
as I told, I'm fickle-minded.
Hmm.
It clicks again. But
Yeah,
when I'm reading the books and whenever I'm in with nice association, I feel
hmm.
this. In those two statements are
Happiness. Hmm.
for our benefit.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
when we take care of, I mean, when we do devotion like that, we
Hmm.
ourselves are very happy.
Correct, correct, correct. So what can we do? How can we do to avoid this fickleness, fickle-mindedness?
That is the question, Prabhu.
That is the question. Okay, anybody wants to answer? I've given tips for this also.
Yes, sir.
Anybody who can remember what I've said? Solid chanting, reading, okay, all that is fine. Don't tell. I want a sutra here. Not
Constant
usual.
association of devotees, Prabhu.
Not possible. No. How is it possible? If it is possible, then there's no fickleness at all. This is about being situations that are going to make you fickle, you're still stuck in those situations, then what should you do?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah.
The mind is always going to be fickle. We have to keep slippering it and slipper the mind, and you have to keep praying to Guru and Gauranga to give us.
Okay. Yeah. So simple tip. I've done this, I've told this multiple times, I've done this in my life. It's super powerful. Whenever you see statement like this, which impacts you, which you reading, which you feel happy, when you feel, when you read that, you feel like, wow, this is the solution to my life problems. Make a note of that statement. Write it on a A4 piece of paper. Stick it in front of you in your office, at home, on kitchen, wherever. It is very, very powerful because see, we don't remember these statements again. Again, when we go back into our world and then again we are like mixed up and this and that and so many things happen, we just forget this. Please write it down. I don't know if, I don't know how many of you are actually practicing this. This is very, very powerful. I've done it for 15 years of my life. Now, fortunately for me, whatever is my top of the list problem in my sadhana, etc., it's there, top of my mind. I know that I'm working on this because I don't have any other distraction, right? But for all these years, I used to have so many distractions. So I used to forget. So I used to write these down. I used to write this down, and literally it used to be visible to people so that, it'll also be like, oh my God, social pressure. What is this? This is my weakness. I'm putting it out there. Okay, if you're not so bold enough, it's okay. You can put it in a place of page, but make it accessible, make it readable. Make sure you see it every day. It makes a huge impact. Even today's statements, Ankita Mataji, I'm telling you, follow this. In 3 months, you will come back and say, Prabhu, now I am out of it. I'm out of this fickle mindedness just by these statements. Every time I become fickle minded, I look at this statement and say, no, 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 why am I become fickle minded? This is what I like. This is what I'm liking, right? This is what actually gives me real happiness. The other one is distraction. In fact, okay, one powerful realization today in my chanting I wanted to share. So Prabhupada, yeah, of course, not directly connected to this, but actually in the morning I thought I want to share with all of you and I forgot. But yeah, to Ankita Mataji's point, it's that fickle mind, uh, these statements that impact you when you read here Prabhupada's books, please make a note of those. There might be 150 of them. Take the top 5, which can impact your top 5 or top concerns, top issues that you have with your devotional life, and keep staring at them every opportunity you get. Okay, that is that. Now, one thing I was thinking, like, about chanting. Our chanting is very disturbed, right? And I was thinking, saying that, okay, one thing we know that material thoughts come into our mind while chanting. Then I was thinking, what do we actually do with those thoughts? I mean, when we are chanting, when these material thoughts, what do we actually do with them? And I realized, saying that actually we are not just listing problems, we are planning, we are trying to find solutions. So one of the things that Prabhupada writes somewhere in his purpose is saying that any amount of planning, see, these are the kind of statements it should get stuck in our head. Any amount of planning does not satisfy the soul. Now this is one amazing statement. And then I realized, saying that, see, irrespective of how much planning I do, it's not even that the detailed amount of planning that I'm doing, I'm not even able to execute it to that extent and to actually. So what happens? So we are thinking about a problem, then we think I have to do this, and then this will happen and that will happen. Now, there's no guarantee. Right? First of all, our mental speculation might not even be the solution to start with. So today's realization was saying that then first of all, it's not giving the soul satisfaction. Second, it's may not, I mean, it just keeps speculating, and it's actually, I mean, I'm not even able to implement these things in reality. Most of the times it's just in the mind and we don't get to even executing it. So this whole time wasted thinking, it's wasted thinking about material problems and solutions to their problems and all that. Because anyway, if it is material, then whatever has to happen based on Krishna's desire or our karma phala will happen. So why just think or plan and waste the time? Because okay, if it is at least useful, if I spend some time thinking, and if that can be implemented and actually I can get results, okay, something maybe, but that's also not possible. That also doesn't happen. So what is the most powerful way? It's just simply when a thought comes to mind, you say, Krishna, I'm leaving it to you, and then focus on Nama. That's one. The other thing that we have to understand, actually, eventually, the happiness is in the Nama. Eventually, we might not understand it now, right? Nam Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha. Etadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrisham Iha Jani Na Anuragaha. Na Anuragaha. I don't have any Anuraga on the name. It is my Durdaivam. It's my misfortune. But if we don't try to practice also, which means that this Anuraga on the Nama will come only when we concentrate on hearing the Nama. And when we spend time hearing about Krishna and Radha, then we connect some immediately. Oh, Krishna's name and Krishna's, I heard about Krishna's form. It was so beautiful to hear. I heard about his pastimes, which just so gave me so much of happiness. Then we can relate this saying that, okay, actually, it's not this problem solving that is going to give me happiness. It's actually the name of Krishna that's going to give me happiness. Then we might make up our mind to drop material thoughts during chanting. Hmm? So what is the key takeaway for me was any amount of planning during chanting is useless, is a waste of time. Because I don't get to even execute those most of the times, because next time I sit and think about this problem, I might get some other solution, right? So there's no guarantee that whatever I thought during chanting is the actual solution. So I wasted time. So not required. Does that make sense? Does it appeal to all of your consciousness?
Yes, Prabhu.
So if you just remember this now this is another sutra for the A4 sheet, right? No amount of planning will satisfy me, and plans, no guarantee that these plans will actually get executed. All will help me achieve whatever I want. So why waste time in planning? Rather, I will derive real happiness if I can get hooked on to hearing the name of Krishna, because the name of Krishna is naturally, like Krishna is Sachidananda, his name is Sachidananda. So I'm going to actually get happiness if I focus on hearing Krishna's name. So that's my real benefit. If we can have this mantra, this sutra for us before chanting, maybe it will help us, avoid or reduce distractions. Of course, yeah, it has taken me 15 years, but maybe all of you are all on the fast path. So maybe you will all realize it in half of the time, and that's my intent also. That whatever I learned, I want to give so that all of you can come to that stage faster and then give it to others also. Of course, my realizations are not great, but whatever they are. Okay, so you can practice this also. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Hare Krishna, Rao.
Hare Krishna.
So the conclusion is, I mean, whatever the mind is busy with, I mean, like during chanting, because mind is always, it's building up this phantasmagoria stuff, right? I mean, hallucinations. Sometimes, I mean, I feel that, the intensity of the situation is way less than what mind is making it up sometimes, right?
All the time. Most of the times.
Yes, absolutely. So what is the goal, Prabhu? I mean, just to so when mind starts getting these desires or starts planning or something, so the idea is to put it aside.
Yeah, I mean, just realize that it's futile.
Yeah,
It's going to be futile.
yeah, it's
The first
futile.
thing is,
Yes.
like you said, the problem itself is not big. Why am I simply wasting my energy?
Yes,
First of
yes,
all,
yeah, absolutely.
right?
That's what
Second
I
thing,
feel.
even if the problem is important, there's no guarantee that the thinking that I'm going to do now is my actual end thought process about that problem or that situation,
Correct.
right? It might change
Yes.
because the mind is now thinking something. Next time it might think something else. So I'm wasting
Yes.
this time now on something which might not even actually which I might not even implement. Second thing. Third, even if I implement, there's no guarantee that it's going to be successful.
That is true,
So
Prabhu. I mean, what?
complete in uncertainty, we are drowning ourselves in complete uncertainty and wasting our time. Right?
Yes, yes. I mean,
Rather,
yeah.
the certainty is to actually depend on Krishna. That is the only certainty, right?
Absolutely right.
So just drop the problem and say, Krishna, I'm leaving it to you. Please give me intelligence. That also we can tell Krishna, saying that Krishna, I'm leaving it to you. I don't want to use
Yeah.
my brain. You please give me intelligence, what I need to do.
Yes,
It's
Prabhu.
okay
Because I mean,
because
I had a yes, Prabhu. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, because actually this might not look like pure devotion, but it is pure devotion because I don't want to waste my energy over some material things. I just want to say, Krishna, Krishna, I don't have energy for this. I want to just think about you. I want to remember your name. I want to chant your name. Right. So, in order to save my precious time, I'm just leaving it to you. Right. So please help me, because I
Yes.
want to do more devotional service and not waste my time doing some mundane stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
Tell me,
yes,
Prabhu.
bro. Because my experience again is like, so whenever you are in this kind of situation, right, trying to, when mind is trying to solve for that a specific scenario or a situation that you are in,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, I mean, I was in a similar situation. I keep on thinking, figuring out how to get out of it, how to get off it. But eventually, Krishna himself does it in such a way that then he makes it so easy that
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, it's
True.
not very difficult. That's how that's what my
Correct.
experience is. Like
Correct.
he takes you out of the situation in a much more diplomatic or sophisticated way that you cannot even imagine, so that's what
Yeah. Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
I
And he
don't
will,
have all that. Yes, yes,
and he will give the solution. So we just depend on him,
mm,
and why waste our
yes,
time and yeah, that precious time of chanting. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Any other realizations
One
devotees want
more
to share?
point for
Yeah.
what Prabhu spoke. So yesterday I was captivated with one of the line while I was reading Prabhupada book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, here, the purport says that. So usually Krishna is taking care of everyone in a
Mm,
Paramatma feature. So to
mm,
come to a Paramatma feature, there's a process, right? Krishna expands, Balrama, then
mm,
Mahavishnu.
mm, mm,
Vikshura. But in case of devotees, Krishna is directly taking care
mm,
of his devotees
mm,
from there. This is
mm,
first point. And he has
mm,
given, Prabhupada has given such a wonderful example, like a
mm,
king taking care of his children
mm.
in a way, and the other ways he's also taking care of citizens by appointing administrators.
Right, right, right. Nice.
This point, I mean, I was thinking, I was just recollecting this point every few minutes,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
this made me overwhelming. Like,
Yeah.
okay, Krishna, as we heard in our previous sessions, that whatever good or bad in this material world is like a good dream and bad dream. This is not
Correct.
permanent.
Right.
So when directly a most powerful person is taking care of us, maybe
Right.
we don't have to worry about anything.
Not maybe. We should not worry about anything. We should give up that maybe and have faith, saying that yes, we should not worry about anything. That's all. Full stop.
Right. So
Right. And see,
Prabhupada,
this is the point about reading Prabhupada's purports. This is what this whole session, these sessions are meant to. These sessions are meant to, so now if each of you start hooking on to these kind of statements when you read Prabhupada's books, then my job is done. I mean, the reason why I started these reading sessions were not to give extensive classes on these topics, right? But to help us understand how powerful Prabhupada's purports are. And I'm so happy that now, slowly everybody seems to be, more and more incorporating these things. Convert that into writing it down, and keep staring at them. These are your gems. These are going to change your life, right? And that's the path. That's the way. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, regarding the mind telling so many things, planning things, actually, I tried to write it down after each round. And at the end of the day, I tried to see there are 8 to 9 points. But out
Mm.
of them, only 1 or 2 are important. Then I realized, okay, we should not listen to everything what our mind is saying.
Yeah,
That is
even
one
that
of
one
the
or
things.
two, important. Okay, it might be important, but it's not as important as chanting. So we can just put it off to later. The
Yeah,
only reason we process it during chanting is our anxiety.
right.
right?
But I heard in
Bhayam,
one of the lectures that, if we keep it aside, I mean, if we'll tell mind that, I'll take care of it later, then it will allow us to hear the chanting. I tried to do that. It really helped me. So when I
yeah,
put that thought down, then I was able to concentrate.
yeah, yeah. You can put the thought down, and as we make progress, we will mentally only put the thought aside.
Right, right,
Right, we don't have to write down, but writing down is also a good approach, because initially we have 150 thoughts, so maybe so few days of chanting might be just writing down, right? And
right,
then we are convincing ourselves through this writing down process, saying that it's useless. I mean, I
right,
don't need to have so
right,
many thoughts. So then eventually you will just start dismissing them, in the mind itself. No, drop, drop,
right,
drop, drop. Okay, it seems important later, right?
right.
Don't say no, because mind will then start rebelling.
Yes,
No,
yes,
we won't say no. We'll just say later.
right.
That's all. Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Nice.
and one more point, Prabhu. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
reading Bhagavatam first canto, fifth chapter, and
Mm-hmm.
Narada Muni is saying whatever happens only with the permission of Krishna. So he is giving Prabhupada is giving examples, but only either it is good or bad. Only with the sanction of Krishna it will happen. Recently, in our hometown, one very tragic situation happened. When 7-year-old girl was throat was cut by one sadist, and she left the body, and as people did all the this thing, and even the chief minister, he gave the order that we'll take care of him, we'll kill him in 1 or 2 days, like that. And they police people killed him, and they put him in the water, like lake or something. They like said that it is a suicide. So how do we understand, like this girl has a previous karma, and this person also has previous karma, like
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely. That point that everything happens by Krishna's will is not direct. Okay, that
okay,
statement we have to understand that in the life of a non-devotee, it is his karma phala, which is the indirect control of Krishna through his material energy, through
okay,
destiny,
yes,
through karma. But only in the life of a surrendered soul, again, I'm using this word surrendered devotee, it is directly Krishna. Till
okay.
we reach that stage of full surrender, we are also
The
suffering our
energy of
karma phala.
Krishna. Okay,
Yeah, we are also suffering our karma phala. And that is why we have to come to Nishta. When we come to Nishta, we've reached liberation. From then on, it's all Krishna's mercy. Right? Nothing
right.
is going to happen by our karma phala. But till
So
then, whatever we are suffering is karma phala. But the beauty when we are doing devotional service is that Krishna will give us the intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam
right,
tam. How, even in this situation, how can we make progress in devotion? Or how
mm,
can I use this situation to my advantage to make progress in devotion? That intelligence Krishna will give. It
right.
will not be
But
there for non-devotees.
yes, Prabhu. But like we are not at that level, we are not completely in material level, so we are in between. So if
Correct.
our karma phala is like that, so actually we are hearing so many cases like this. So we have girls at house, so so we just think about that, like how do we like if they have that karma phala, like if we are a little bit on the way to surrender to Krishna, so still Krishna gives intelligence to he'll give protection to come out of
Mm,
it.
yeah, I mean, see, that depends on our faith in Krishna, right? So we cannot,
Okay,
there's no clear formula to say. Like, see, it's very simple. If you depend on Krishna, Krishna will help you.
okay,
That is surrender.
dependency. Okay.
That is surrender. Surrender means depending on Krishna, 100%.
Okay.
If you depend on Krishna, Krishna will take care. If you don't depend on Krishna because you think that I only have to take care of, this situation, then Krishna will say, okay.
Even to remember Krishna in difficulty is also challenge, right, Prabhu?
That
Sometimes
is
we
why
get
we have to
fear.
do hearing, we have to do regular chanting, hearing, associate with devotees. These are
Right.
the tests. This is what we have to learn. This is what I was saying as tests, right? When something like this we hear,
Right.
we'll say, okay, I depend on Krishna. I have
Okay.
anyway. Even if I worry about it, what can I do about it? Nothing,
Right.
right? So just depend on Krishna.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you much.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Can we close? It's already 9:15. Yeah, we'll close for today. Okay. So tomorrow there's no session. We'll continue on Monday. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय वांछाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय हरे कृष्ण।